Again, a warm welcome to Linc's webinar, where we will show you today what is new in Business Central version 28. I would like just to share a couple of agenda points today that we will be talking about the new features and enhancements that will be available in version 28. So welcome and introduction. In today's session, we will also touch base on version 27. The previous webinar that we've done, we've showed up to what's coming in 27, but most of us that's in the cloud already have version 27 available. So I think it might be good that if you have not discovered any of those enhancements, that you can also find out or invest more time, as well then as talk about what is coming in version 28. We'll just do a quick interview of the Business Central version overview, just to explain to everyone where to look and find your version of Business Central. A little bit of user interface enhancements, talking about Copilot and AI innovation. Christelle will show us more about supply chain enhancements, Power BI reporting, some exciting new Excel reports that Vilnius will take us through, and then we'll put a cherry on top with financial reporting, which Jean-Andre will take us through. So that's it. I would like to just introduce our team today that will be presenting during our webinar. So I'm Gerard Meinhardt, I'm the facilitator, and I will also kick off with the first couple of enhancements in version 27 and 28. Then we'll have Vilnius. I'm sure that everyone knows Vilnius Westhuizen. He's also a functional consultant here at Linc. For a few years, he will present and show us the Power BI and Excel reports. We will also have Christelle today. Christelle, part of our session, taking us through some of the supply chain enhancements. Christelle is also a consultant and working on projects. And then we also have Jean-Andre Robertson. I'm sure that you all know Jean-Andre. Jean-Andre will also present and take us through financial reporting today, lead consultant at Linc Communications. Good. So once we're done now with the introductions, let's get into the Business Central overview. I think it's important just to understand the versions, how that works in Business Central. So I'm going to show you how to check in Business Central to see how you can find your version within Business Central. But maybe the slide just to show you that if we talk about Business Central 27, it is actually the Business Central 2025 release wave 2, which was released in October. And if we then talk about Business Central 28 in today's webinar session, we actually talk about Business Central 2026 release wave 1, which is then available from April this year. If we have a look just down at the diagram, you can see that the release wave 1 will always be in April of every year, and your release wave 2 will always be in October. So that is your major release versions. Throughout the year, every month there would be a cumulative update for the specific release waves, but I think it's just good to know and understand when these major release is taking place. And then you can see there's an upgrade window. So that means that within the second week of April up until June, we need to upgrade to the major release version. So it's important to make sure that we all stay up to date. I just want to show you quickly in Business Central, just if you go into Business Central and if you go to the question mark, you'll find your help functions. If you go to help and support, you can easily then just identify and see that the instance that we are showing now is on version 28. So that means the release 2026 wave 1. Good. Enough about versions and different releases. Let's get into Business Central version 28 user interface enhancements. These enhancements that we can expect when we upgrade to the latest version. The first one that I want to introduce in the webinar today is Microsoft added the created and modified avatars in the list view. So this means that we always try to find who actually created the specific master data or maybe a purchase or a sales order. And then we would like to find out who modified that. So Microsoft updated the list view to include the created and modify avatar so that you can quick and easy identify who was created that. So the user can't say, no, it wasn't me. It means that it is now on your list view available to view. Cool. Another user interface enhancement is with Copilot and AI growing in Business Central. You can now adjust the Copilot chat window or task or pane on the right-hand side, which was not available in the previous version. If you also open up help or if you use the page scripting panes, it means that you can now resize that pane so that you can have more or better view of the content in your Copilot section or pane. So that's also something quite nice. Something else that Microsoft also added is that in version 28, you can now, as a user, submit feedback on some of the pages that will be available and some experience. So Microsoft is trying to get feedback from the end users itself and not only from the partners as well, so that we can, as a Business Central community, grow and vote for enhanced features or any experiences that might help grow Business Central to the next level. So that's something that you will see that will come up. Additional fields on sales and purchase documents. Some of the fields that they've added is, for example, your customer name too on your sales documents, or your vendor name too, or your vendor bill to name too on your purchase documents. Those fields were not normally available just to select as additional fields. I'll show us just shortly how that will look. And then lastly, Microsoft also, as a user experience, enhanced the item variant card to add attributes, as well as you can add pictures for each of your item variants, where we currently only can do that on the item card. So please allow me just a few minutes just to take you through these enhancements in Business Central. Good. So in Business Central, if we go to any of our master data or list view pages, and for example, if I go to the sales invoices in Business Central, you can see that there's now a new field that you can add by see who created it or who modified this specific record that was created in Business Central. If I, for example, go to the sales orders, you can see that that would also be available on the sales order page, list view. How would we then add this to the list view? You'll go to the right where you can change your different layout options. Once you select that, on the list view, there's a new function with the arrow to the right, which you can enable created, modify by. So it's easy to switch that on and off, and that is available on most of your list view pages. You can also, if you want to do items or do master data, who created the item or who modified the item, go to your item list view, and on your item card, it's easy for you then to see if you changed your layout option to modified, you can see who created the master data or modify the master data. So easy for you to control and assign tasks. Cool. The other option that we went through was when we use the Copilot task pane on the right, you have the ability now to resize this Copilot so that you can have better visibility or read more context. That also pulled through to when you use your help function. You can also, when you use your help function, or go into your Microsoft Learn documentation to find more information about this page, or if you use any of page scripting options, just as an example, you have also the ability to resize that pane on the right-hand side. The same if you use, for example, the payables agents already, or if you create an agent in your environment yourself, you have also the ability now to resize and have more visibility of your tasks or your agent on the right-hand side. Just a little bit of enhancements of user experience in Business Central that might help. If I go quickly to the sales documents, for example, if I go to a sales order to show you the additional fields that is created, that you can add to your sales or purchase documents, specifically more to your name to or vendor name to, is opening up a sales order. I go to the personalize function. I select add a field. And in my header, I can then have the ability to get customer name to field in as well, which was not previously or currently available that you can select. So there's additional fields added to your sales order, or then for that matter to your purchase screen as well. So if you open up a purchase order and you go to personalize, you would also then see that you have the ability with additional fields that you can add in. For example, vendor name to field is one of the fields that is quite nice to have when you have trading as or any other detail that's necessary. Cool. I am quickly showing the item variants. So if I go to the item card, and if I open up any of these items, and if I go to the item variant card page, item variants, you have now ability to add item attributes per variant, or if you want to create or add a picture, you have the ability now to add a picture per variant as well, so that you can identify maybe colors or sizes quite easily. Just some examples there. Cool. There are quite a lot more enhancements and features available for version 28. I've just shown a bit that I think might help to get a good experience in version 28. At the end of the webinar, we will share a link to all of these updates where you can also explore yourself. Before I hand over to Christelle to do the supply chain enhancements, I would quickly just also touch base on the Copilot and AI innovation enhancements that was done. One of them was to extend our search or find. So this is now when you're in Business Central and you want to find specific areas within the tool. Microsoft has enhanced that now so that you can do advanced search with AI. So that means that you don't have to exactly remember where you need to go in Business Central, but that you can write a sentence or you can write some text that Microsoft will then use intelligence to find where you need to go. I'll do a quick demo on that. The chat with Copilot has also enhanced. It's now quicker to get back on results. The tool has also enhanced to understand 20 different languages. If you're in a different language in a different region, as well as the context that you need from Copilot or the help that you need with Copilot is also extended so that you can have a good chat with Copilot and understand what to do. Also, Copilot has been enhanced on the analysis pages. So that's, for example, if you do transactional entries or if you have list view pages, you can easily chat with Copilot to create specific views for you. I don't know if you can remember Clippy, but Copilot, Clippy said to Copilot, Copilot, I'm your father. Clippy was the old version 1997 Office Assistant. I don't know if you could remember that, but that usually will, at the bottom right of your screen, will come up and ask, how can I help you today? Yeah. Cool, so let me show you just a bit of Copilot and AI, just on a quick note. So if I'm back to my home screen and I use my search function, you would see that advanced is now available. So if I then would type in run depreciation, and I use the tell me function, let me do the tell me one first. You could see that run depreciation on fixed assets is not bringing any results back. Microsoft don't understand that, but if you have the advanced view feature enabled and you do run depreciation, Microsoft uses that and bring back more results for you so that you can understand. So finding new functionality or finding actions in Business Central is now extended to the advanced section so that you can easily find what you're looking for. If we go and look at Copilot, the chat with Copilot, you don't have to go into specific sales orders or purchase order to ask Copilot a couple of questions. What you can do is you can chat with Copilot and ask Copilot a question. For example, if you just arrived at the office and you want to see what is the latest sales order for a specific customer, you can type in chat with Copilot and Copilot might help you with some good answers. Copilot don't know all the answers, but it is extended to understand and analyze more transactional data to help you with getting some good data. So we can see Copilot brought back a sales order, what's the latest sales order created for that specific customer. And from the chat, you can click on the sales order directly, and you can see this is the sales order that was created, the last sales order that was created for that specific customer. You can also go to the sales order page, which will then list for you the sales orders in Business Central. Perfect. If I can show a little bit on the Enhanced Analysis Assist. So for example, if you go to your items list, you can use your Copilot Analyze List option, where you can actually type out to Copilot and say list items by item category. And that will then create for you an analysis view where it will list your items by item category. As an example, so there's the different item categories. You can also add additional text or context where you can save your analysis views. I've created just a few so that you can see, show low stock by category, some of the views that are saved, or show me what is my negative inventory, some options and features that you can use. Additional changes that also was launched recently is your more prompt guide, your constructive way, where Copilot is helping you to get the best out of your data. By adding structure, you can select group by or show or pivot on, and you can fill in the data that you want to pivot on so that it helps you to get the most out of that constructive search. You can do exactly the same with your transactional data, not on your master data. So if you have customer ledger entries or you have journal entries, you can easily create with Copilot a constructive search function. So if we say we want to create analysis with Copilot, you can see there's this prompt guide that can help and say sort and filter by or filter out specific item or show only transactions. So which helps you find and build your views better. Another feature that was also released in version 28 is these analysis views can be pre-built by code so that it can be deployed to more than one profile within Business Central. Perfect. So that was just a few of the exciting new enhancements and features and some AI technology that is available. Like I said, we'll share the link after the webinar so that you can also go and explore yourself. I would like to introduce the supply chain enhancements and hand over to Christelle. Christelle will take us just through a few actions in Business Central.
Okay, so I'll show you today the additional functionality in version 27. So BC made it available for you to actually create multiple fixed asset cards from one fixed asset. So this would be an example if I bought office chairs for the company, they're all the same. Instead of creating, let's say, 10 additional fixed asset cards, you now can create one, and then from the purchase invoice, it will create 10 fixed asset cards for you. So I'll start with a purchase invoice where I would acquire my asset. So purchase invoices, click on new, select my vendor. And then on the lines, I'll go fixed asset, and then I'll select my fixed asset. So mine would be office tables. I say we bought 3 additional office tables. They were each 1,500 Rand. And then on the number of fixed asset cards, you'll say you have 3. So then it will create 2 additional fixed asset cards from the one that you already created. So then overall 3. So I'll just do preview posting for you to see. Then it created your fixed asset ledger entry. You'll see there would be 3, each with an amount of 1,500. So then I'll show you once I posted it. I want to open the invoice, so I'll go back to fixed assets. Then you would be able to see that it's created now 2 additional ones from the one that I have created. Now I can go and make changes to it, maybe add additional descriptions, the locations, all of that. Then I can fill that in, but you'll see it has been acquired instead of going and copying each fixed asset. So that's the new functionality for version 27. Then for version 28, so first we'll go through approvals. So BC made it available for you to send journals related to items now for approval. So the requisition worksheet, planning worksheet, item journal, and then the physical inventory journal now all can be sent for approval. The whole batch are sent for approval, not line specific, but the whole batch. So requisition worksheet, you'll see there under request approval, send approval request worksheet batch, then it will send that whole batch to the necessary approval or approver or approvals. Same goes for planning worksheet. You have your request approval, then send approval. So they will all be at the same place. So then you have your item journal. Again, request, send approval, and then have your physical inventory journal. Request approval, send for approval. So those are the approvals that have been added version 28. Then you have the ability to actually send your like delivery notes, so your posted sales shipments, and then your return receipts. You are now able to send to customers through an email. So posted sales shipment, go to print send, and then you can say send by email, and then you can attach it as a PDF. But the send by email is a new functionality that you can now send this instead of downloading it and then sending it. Now you can send it through BC, like all your other transactions or documentation, and then you go posted return receipts that you can also send to your customers. So under print, send by email. Then third additional functionality for version 28 is that they've added additional fields on your gate shipment lines and gate receipt lines on your purchase invoices and sales invoices. So I'll start with sales invoices. And then I'll just open one as an example to show you. Then go line, functions, get shipment lines. Then you'll see it added the external document number now as an additional field for you to filter on to get your shipments much easier, and then getting them on your invoice. So that's on your sales invoices side, and on your purchase invoices side. I'll just open one again just to show you. Go line, functions, get receipt lines. And then the fields that they've added here is your vendor order number, vendor shipment number, and an item reference to make it easy for you to get your receipts. If you would like to filter on those, if you don't want to see these fields, you can just personalize them out. So that's the third additional functionality that was added. And then the last one that was added is that you have the ability now to, on a purchase invoice, create a purchase invoice for multiple purchase orders that have not yet been received. So now you have the ability to receive on invoice. So if you would want to do that, you'll just have to go on your purchase order. Purchase order, I'll open one that I've created. Purchase order, so then under your invoice details tab, there's a receipt on invoice. If you enable that, it will give you the ability to then, when you post that invoice, you'll post your receipt as well, and you'll receive the stock into BC. So that needs to be enabled if you would like to do that. So then I'll just go and do a purchase invoice to show you how it works. So purchase invoice, click on new. Then I'll select my vendor, any additional information I'll fill in. Okay. Then you'll go line, functions, get order lines. So instead of get receipt lines, you say get order lines. This functionality also allows you to select multiple orders. In this example, I'm doing one, and you can do partial as well. So only 2 out of the 4 lines need to be invoiced and received, or partially, or 4, but then partially. That's also one click. Then you have, I'm selecting those 4. And then everything from my PO has then come into my invoice. So then I can go and actually post it. Once I've posted it, I will show you what has happened to my purchase order now. So I've posted that invoice. And if I go to my purchase order, this one, you'll now see that it has been received, quantity invoiced. Obviously, when you use get order lines or get receipt lines on a purchase invoice, it does not close off your purchase order. You still have to go and then go and delete it by going actions, functions, delete invoice orders, and it deletes this order from here, but you still have your posted purchase invoice, your posted purchase receipt, and this will then get archived, go to your archived purchase orders. So those are the additional functionalities for version 2028.
Let's move on then to some reporting in Business Central in version 28. Some new report updates. So I'm going to hand over to Vilnius. Vilnius Oosthuizen. Vilnius will take us through exciting Power BI apps available in Microsoft, as well as new Excel layouts that you can use for inventory type reports.
Thanks, Gerard. Hi, guys. Just a quick summary. BC, as you know, the last few years has pushed Power BI integration into Business Central quite a bit. With the version 27 and 28 coming out, they've brought in quite a lot of new standard reports, specifically for sales and purchases, and a bit for inventory. And while doing this, also started to remove some of the older reports, so that specifically to drive this new implementation of the reports. And also the idea is the RLC reports that we usually use to start removing that and moving it more to a Power BI or Excel platform where the users themselves can actually start and edit the data more to what they need instead of using programmers. So that's with regards to the Power BI reports. Gerard, if you could just go to the other slide. They've also started and pushing more Excel reports. So they've enhanced the sales side for the sales reports, a bit on customers and inventory, as well as enhancing the speed of these Excel reports so that the users have a better experience. You'll also see in the new versions, as I will show you now, some of the reports will start showing a little notation at the end saying, what's the word now? Obsolete, that's the word, sorry. So those are the reports that are going to be started to removed as the new versions start coming out. So yeah, Gerard, I'll just quickly share now. Let me just show you all these new reports. Wrong screen, technology. Come on. There we go. Can everybody see my screen at least? Clear, I hope. Okay, so the first one I want to show you is the Power BI report. So Microsoft has grouped it quite nicely for us on the sales report summary. So all of these reports at the bottom here, you can search individually as well and bookmark them for you if it's something you're going to use a lot. I just bookmarked this whole report. And on this, I just want to show you one or two new reports that they've implemented on the latest version. So the first one is the sales overview, which just gives you, sorry, a high-level snapshot of all your sales activities for both posted and unposted sales. And it also shows you the key quantity and amount KPIs for a quick executive overview of your sales, which I think is quite nice. The other report I quickly want to show you is, which I think is something nice that they've implemented, is this period over growth report. which basically, compares sales in the current period against the same period in the prior year, or quarter or month, depending on what the filters are that you've implemented here, which gives you a nice quick overview for the sales team, which I think is quite useful. Then on the other one is a sales by customer report, which is quite cool, specifically with this location. So this data we have is in the US, so they've got this little map, and it shows you per town, and if you drill down, it even goes a bit further, which is quite interesting. And then if this is for all the data currently, if you would want to filter this, let's say for February 2026, you would just come to your filter pane and say fiscal month, Feb 2026, and it will update to only show you the February data. Then on the purchase side, also this is also a new view, the purchase overview. It's basically just the flip side from the sales. The one I want to show you specifically is the vendor quantity analysis. Quality analysis, where is this now? This one, which I think is quite insightful. It gives you a bit more detail about your vendors, especially this graph over here that shows you, if I, for instance, say office chairs, it shows me specifically how many vendors I have for these items, which I think is quite cool. And then the other one, which I'm sure you guys use a lot, is actual versus budgets for specifically for your purchases. Okay, there are a lot more reports, so you're welcome to work through them when Gerard shares these the slides with you. I just wanted to show you some of them, which I thought was going to be insightful. Then on the Excel side, again, all of these reports you can search in BC. I just bookmark them. A customer order detail. I go to Excel, just change the report layout to the Excel. Taking a minute. Open the report. Enable. And then enable content. Okay. And this is your customer order detail. This should look familiar. So this is basically the layout that was used on if you printed it in the old RDLC, which they use on the tab with a prefix which says print. So this would be that report. But then they've also added second column, which they call the analysis tab, which has a preset fix of some slices that you can slice and dice the data with. And if you would want some other information in here or change the filters, all you need to do is just open the pivot and you can change the layout to how you would like to see it. So that's the custom order details one. The other one I wanted to show you is inventory availability. Not say that, sorry. So again, this should look very familiar to your RDLC. And then they have the analysis, again, where you can slice and dice your data. The one I'm actually really excited about is the item age composition. So usually this report was 2 reports. So it was either item age by quantity or item age by value. But in the new Excel report, they've combined it so that you pull, so it's one report and you have both versions of the report in one place. So here's your item age by value, item age by quantity, and then on the analysis page, they've combined the two so that you can have all the information together. One last thing I quickly want to share that was also brought in new was all of these data sets that you see now is based on, and the Power BI reports that have been built. You can actually now also import the report into Excel. So you go to data, get data from Fabric or Power Platform, from Power BI, and then say I want to pull in the inventory report. You can either say into table or pivot. Sorry, I just want to put into pivot, and then it actually pulls in the whole Power BI report setup with all the data and links, and you can then build your own report in Excel with all the data pulling from BC. There's all the fields that you're from the Power BI report that you've built. That's now available in Excel for you to slice and dice. The last thing I just wanted to show, which I forgot to show on one of the Power BI reports, it's quite nice, is if you're on this report and you want to see the underlying data that creates this, you can just go to the 3 dots, say export data, underlying data, and it will export the data that makes up that specific report for you. Okay. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Cool. Thanks, Wilnes. Thank you very much for taking us through all the exciting new Power BI report packs that's been released, as well as some of the new inventory reports that's now available in the Excel version. I would then want to go on to the next and last topic that we will handle in today's new release of enhancements in Business Central version 28. And I would like to hand over to Jandre. I know reporting and analytics can always be a headache, and it feels like we never get through that. but Jandra has a good solution that Microsoft has provided, which will help you in your financial reports.
Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry. Let's just put that off. Cool. Thank you everyone for joining. I see we are a bit over time, so I'm just going to try and keep this brief. On finance reports, there's a couple of things that came out. Tile views is just a way of grouping or just viewing your reports in a bit different way, where you can add some sort of descriptions together. We've got statuses now, where you can say if you've created a lot of reports over the years, where you can say some reports are not used or obsolete, or which ones do you actually use. You can categorize them, which we'll just quickly look at, and then you can set some company-specific defaults, where you can import your logo like that. And then you can also schedule some reports. So if there's a sales report or a income statement that you need to run on a daily basis, that you need to send out via email, you can do that. And then there are also some audit logs that you can run to see who ran what reports. So let me quickly take you through that. Everyone can see my screen. So under financial reporting, as Gerard mentioned, you can also see who created and who modified certain reports, but you'll see this has got a couple more columns added to it. The first one that I just want to look through is the categories. So you can create, under your definitions, you can create certain categories that you want to categorize them in. So if you want to say, for example, you have a couple of different income statements with different report row definitions and column definitions, you don't need to switch between them. You can just create a couple of them and just categorize them by the category. You've also got your statuses under here, like I mentioned, so you can decide, you don't need to use these out-of-the-box ones. You can create your own ones and just categorize them accordingly. You'll also see that you've got these logo positions, so that pulls through from your company information, so your reports will now have that on there. You can also set these as defaults on your general ledger setup. So you'll see under the reporting fast tab, you will find here what report and row definitions get used. You can also set up certain defaults. So how do I view most of my reports? You see by default, it defaults to days, but usually we look at reports on a monthly basis. So this will just default all the reports to that one, but you can change the individual reports to view on a certain method that you usually view it on. Also, like I said, a default company logo position and the statuses. The most exciting one of all of these changes is because this is just basically just grouping certain things together. But the most important or the most exciting one of these are this dimension perspective, where you can set up how certain reports are displayed. So you can group them together or you can set up the report, for example, to view report by department, for example. Instead of running them for each department, you can now set up a dimension perspective, and it will display all of the various departments in that one report. So just to show you quickly, I'm just going to take the balance sheet one as an example. So I've just set the dimension perspective as a department. You link your analysis views to it. And if I then view this report, I'm just going to quickly print it. So just to show you, you've now got this little logo at the top. This will show you the balance sheet for the whole company. But if I then scroll down, I can see I have my various departments: administration, which gives a separate balance sheet for that. I've got one for production, which gives a balance sheet for that. And I've got one for sales and so on. Similarly, you also have one for your income statement. I can just view this one as well. So just a simple income statement for the total for the whole company. You've got one for administration, you've got one for production, which is my various departments. But you can set this up for any of your dimensions and any combination of dimensions. So in your dimension perspective, under your edit definition, you can say, I want to create one for admin, which my department will filter on that. But I also want one for the customer group that says, I want to look at the large ones. And I can set up a similar one for admin and medium and so on. So it will then create an income statement for these various combinations. So that people don't need to put in the filters all the time. You set it up once and you just run your reports all the time. Obviously, as well, you can export these to Excel. So if I then open it up in Excel, I think this is quite a handy one, especially if you report on departmental level. So you'll see it'll create this for you, but it'll create the various tabs at the bottom for the various departments or whatever you've set up in those definitions. Cool. You also have these audit logs now, where you can see who ran these various reports on what time and what date. So it's just for the people that are interested in these. And then you can also schedule certain reports. So if the schedules, you can schedule who needs to receive them. So you'll set up some recipients here. So I've set myself and Doug up here. And then I can say either export to PDF, or if there's a specific Excel layout template that should be used, should I use the Excel one? And then also send it by email. We'll set up the email addresses here. And then you can say how often does it need to be run. You can also add some custom filters here. So if there are if the report, on the request page, if there's certain things that needs to be sent to specific people with specific filters that needs to be applied, you can set up those on here and you can send it to those ones. But if, for example, the income statement, there's no filters applied, gets sent to certain people, but I only want to create the same one for a specific department. So let's call it the admin income statement. I can, on the custom filters, I can then apply a filter here to say, just show them the admin information. And you just add your admin recipients to this report that gets sent to them. So yeah, that, in short, that is exciting things that's on financial reports.
John Ray, thank you very much. I'm sure that we are all excited to start digging into financial reports in Business Central. Like you said last year, when you're at the conference in Poland, that Microsoft is spending quite a lot of time in financial reporting so that you can have a good financial management pack that you can present to the specific board members or so forth. You can see that they've done quite a bit in the past month, as well as have the ability to add a logo in some of that Excel reports so that it can help everyone reporting directly from Business Central. That concludes then our Business Central enhancements for version 28 that's been released by Microsoft. Please let us know if there's any questions. You're welcome to email us and reply on the video link that I will send off to everyone that joined in the session today. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good weekend. And for those that are on leave next week, enjoy the leave and travel safe.